A doctor is supposed to do what? Hmm? Identify the cause of the problem and then recommend a treatment and or perhaps know enough about the problem to be able to come up with a cure. Did you want me to give you the next installment off of my information concerning Dr. Benjamin Rush and the First Bank of the United States and or his unified theory for virus? 1924. In 1924, my understanding is that there was a very specific review and significant review of the Texas Insurance Commission, that the Texas insurance industry had a lot of activity during that time. Somewhere I have some of these old guys from Texas, associate judges, attorneys generals. They said some things back then. But I think what you're more interested in right now is trying to figure out how you're going to make the transition in the absolute tanking of your gas and oil sector into the diversification of derivatives that you're hoping to get out of the cover up associated with this intentionally orchestrated biological warfare. And as a result of that, we'll be able to get something to cover up the fact that you're bankrupt. So you have to keep importing people and you have to keep harvesting them. And because you don't even do an appropriate accounting, even though you know exactly what a derivative is, and instead keep depreciating and depreciating and depreciating, hoping that you can discount it enough to make a sale so that you can get something else cheap and fix it up to do the same thing over and over and over again, going on for what now appears to be 100 years or nearly 100 years, then we're at a critical stage. And if somebody doesn't close out that deal, then you're going to have to keep expanding and going and finding people in other places. And you like them young because you like to pretend that you're children of God. And as children of God, you are innocent. And so nobody can ever reproach you. Texas home cooking. Page 14. The oil business. West Texas wildcatters aren't the only people whose fortunes rise and fall with oil. A home cook seeking real flavor and quality must know the basic property of a wide range of oils and fats, even some currently in low esteem. Most traditional recipes from the past used large amounts of saturated fat, well beyond what was useful for flavor. We have reduced the quantities significantly, and we've eliminated meat, fat, and hydrogenated oils entirely when they contribute little or nothing to the taste and the flavor of a dish. In many cases, however, saturated fats still work better in one way or another than monosaturated or polyunsaturated oils. Rather than dilute a dish, we leave it to you to moderate your intake of rich foods according to your needs. You can't do that, though, without understanding the options and their attributes. I've got one option, right? You've made sure I only had one option. Except that what you want is for me to draw on my past, which apparently is rich enough for your taste. You don't acknowledge what you have or what you could have had if you had been honest. 2005. By 2005, there was a gubernatorial commission for biomedicine, biotechnology, bioengineering, and nanotechnology. In the actual Texas Vernon's annotated codes, it replaced the introduction to the small business code. The introduction, the platform, the foundation of the small business sector in Texas was replaced by a gubernatorial commission on biomedicine, biotechnology, bioengineering, and nanotechnology. I saw it myself. I was horrified. We're in 2020, and the man who was the governor at the time just stepped down from being the Secretary of Energy, where he made a nice little strategic 27-month reverse wraparound on children of the FBI for daughters of the dough. You like it that way, don't you? Does anybody in Texas have a recipe for dough meat stew? Do you have any esteemed ladies that are dough hunters? Do you guys go and get the licenses, or do you do it without the license because it's just that much more tasty? Do you? Presbyterian Philathea Cookbook from the Business Women's Circle of the Presbyterian Auxiliary in Gonzales, Texas. This is what you wanted, isn't it? This whole time. Every day you launder money through me. Every day you try to draw on the mystique of somebody who was born here but is no longer here, but apparently has one of those rich palates that you want to have access to yourself. 1924 Presbyterian Philathea cookbook from Gonzales, Texas is full of recipes using shells or nest of shredded wheat cereal for everything from strawberries to oysters. It's also the earliest Texas cookbook we've found that lists each recipe's ingredients separately from the cooking instructions. A big improvement in readability. 1924. Were you planning to do this for another 4 years? Were your lady homemakers going to be happy? By 1924, the Texas gas and oil industry would have successfully have been able to dump all of those intentionally fraudulently engaged short-term loans. And how much longer do you expect for COVID-19 to strategically murder people in order to liquidate them or to make their previous bandwidth accessible for you to piggyback your finance on while we're shut up and we are all collectively dumbed down to the level of, what is this called? Nest egg. Nest eggs made from shredded wheat cereal. Because we're not allowed to grow our own fruits and vegetables unless we pay for what? What did you want today to pay for? Why did you have to not talk to me? Nobody talks to me. You just come up behind me knowing nobody's talked to me and talk over me while I'm trying to get what I need. This is the last day you get to do that. After this Thanksgiving holiday, my obligations are through. And none of my palette is available to you any longer.